Okay, what if the pursuit of happiness is the very thing that's making you miserable? It's a wild thought, right? In this explainer, we are diving deep into a pretty controversial Andrew Tate speech that argues exactly that. It's a worldview that says forget happiness and instead make struggle your ultimate goal. So the whole thing kicks off with this really provocative question. Why should you be happy? It's meant to completely flip the script. It forces you, right from the start, to justify the one thing our entire society tells us we should be chasing. And just to be clear, this isn't about finding some new secret path to happiness. Nope. It's about taking happiness off the map completely and setting a brand new destination. A life that isn't defined by feeling good, but by deliberately running towards the hard stuff. All right, so where does this all begin? Well, like any philosophy, it starts with a diagnosis. It first tries to pinpoint what it sees as the core problem holding back the modern man. And here is the central conflict. On one side, you have the ideal, a man guided by duty who does hard things and earns respect because of it. And on the other side, well, that's the diagnosis of the modern man, just kind of drifting, making decisions based on how he feels in the moment, avoiding anything difficult, and, surprise, he ends up miserable. And here's the consequence of always avoiding difficulty. The argument is that men, especially, tend to ignore all the small warning signs, the little mistakes. So what happens? The only time a lesson actually sinks in is after a complete catastrophe, when it's already way too late. To really drive this point home, the speech uses this powerful analogy of a car crash. Imagine you're on an icy road and your wheels slide just a little bit. That's the warning sign. But you ignore it, you keep your foot on the gas, and then bam, you're wrapped around a tree. The point is, this isn't just about driving. It's about how so many people approach life, ignoring the small problems until they become a total wreck. So if that's the diagnosis, what's the cure? Well, according to this philosophy, if the sickness is avoiding difficulty, then the cure is to sprint directly towards it. And at the heart of this whole thing is a complete rewiring of the word struggle. It's not this negative thing that happens to you. No, it's the deliberate pursuit of difficulty. The idea is simple. By choosing to do hard things, you forge the kind of character and strength that leads to real, lasting contentment, something way deeper than just being happy. The argument here is that we are literally hardwired for challenge. I mean, think about it. Would you even play a video game if it was on easy mode with all the cheat codes turned on? Of course not. It'd be boring. The real satisfaction, the fun, comes from finally beating that impossible boss on the hardest difficulty. This philosophy says life is exactly the same. It even makes this really modern analogy to Bitcoin mining. The struggle is like solving that super complex crypto puzzle. Your effort is the computer's processing power. And when you finally solve it, you get the reward. Only it's not a digital coin. It's this deep, profound sense of your own worth and what you've accomplished. Okay, so embracing struggle isn't just about what you do, it's about how you think. And that requires a very specific mindset, one that puts concrete actions way ahead of your fleeting feelings. This quote is basically the operating system for that mindset. Your focus shifts completely away from your unreliable internal feelings and onto external, dependable forces, the actions you take, the unstoppable march of time, and, for some people, faith. Think of it like you're the captain of a ship. This philosophy says you have to navigate by the fixed stars, things like your duty, your honor, your commitments. You have to learn to completely ignore the chaotic, unpredictable weather of your own feelings, your mood, your anxiety, even your so-called happiness, because that stuff will just blow you off course. And get this mindset even redefines fun. What most of us think of as fun is basically dismissed as a cheap, easy distraction. In this worldview, real, satisfying fun isn't something you chase. It's something you earn. It's a reward you get for being exceptional, not a goal in itself. So that's the mindset. But how do you actually do it? How do you put it into practice? Well, the philosophy lays out a method for building what it calls an internal fire. The key idea here is this metaphor of an internal fire that every man has burning inside him. And you have a simple choice. You can either aim that fire outwards, like a flamethrower, at your goals and obstacles, or you can just let it sit there and burn you out from the inside with inaction and self-doubt. So how do you fuel this fire? The speech gives 4 very practical components. You build hunger by surrounding yourself with other ambitious people. You build bravery by intentionally making decisions where you might actually fail. You use your imagination to get a crystal clear picture of the person you want to become. And finally, you sharpen yourself through constant competition. And that competition piece is absolutely crucial. The philosophy basically says your friend group should be your training ground. By constantly competing with each other on things that actually matter, like fitness, business, knowledge, you create an environment where being lazy just isn't an option, and everyone holds each other accountable.
And then the speech just turns the question directly on you. It's meant to be a real gut check. When is the last time you made a brave decision? Because if you can't immediately think of something, the argument is that your bravery muscle is just wasting away. So all of this, the struggle, the internal fire, the competition, it all leads to the ultimate goal. What's the point of it all? If happiness isn't the prize at the end of the rainbow, then what is? The philosophy presents you with this very stark black and white choice. On one side, you can be a happy loser. Live an easy life that ultimately leads to you being insignificant. Or you can be a stressed somebody, walking that much harder path of duty, but a path that leads to importance and leaving a real legacy. And ultimately, the argument is that suffering in life is guaranteed one way or another. So your only real choice is which kind of suffering you're going to pick. The suffering you choose on purpose to become a man of value, or the suffering you get by default, by being a nobody for the rest of your life. And so this whole philosophy really just leaves you with one last unavoidable question: an easier life where you're ultimately forgotten, or a harder life where you actually matter? According to the speech, the answer you choose will define everything.